Chapter 26. What are the top things that you and your spouse have in common? This is about Joni. We have been together now for about 27 years. We were married in 1996. We do have lots of things in common. We will start with recreational activities. Joni loves to fish, and I think that she might even enjoy it more than me. That's because several times she is ready to go and prods me into going. That's good because we are probably both in need of just getting out and enjoying some nice weather out on the water. Many times it can just be about getting out and enjoying the outdoors. I also must say that she is really good at fishing too. Many times at the end of the day, she has either caught more than me or the biggest, and sometimes both. I couldn't believe it when she told me that the one thing she wanted for Christmas last year was a replica of the smallmouth she caught in the river that fall. I had it made for her, and it was under the tree, and it now hangs on the wall. It was a great catch for anybody around here. It was about 5 pounds, and that is a real prize in our waters. We took pictures and measurements of it and returned it to the river to let it grow and be someone's special catch again someday. I have been very close to stock car racing for many years. I followed and helped my cousin Richard Treadway with his race car back in the 70s. Now Joni and I follow dirt track racing and have a special driver that lives close by. He is the son of someone that I have known for many years and followed. He is Bob Pierce, and now his son Bobby races and does very well. When we go to a dirt track race to see him run, and sometimes we go as far away as Ohio on an overnight trip. Joni and I have been doing an annual vacation trip that takes us to our favorite spot. That place is Sunset Cove Resort in Key Largo, Florida. This also is a trip to see stock car racing, but this time it is NASCAR. They have been having the final championship race each season at the track in Homestead, Florida, which is just a 25-minute drive from Sunset Cove to the track. It's also the same week as my birthday, so this gives us another thing to celebrate on the trip. Here again we do this because Joni and I have this love of the sport in common. I would say that we are both morning people. Even in our retirement, we are up at the crack of dawn and in bed by 9 or 9:30. Some of that has to do with our pets. Mr. McGee particularly has to have one of us up and around so we can let him outside. We really didn't expect this from him in the beginning when he was only a few months old. That's because he was frightened by everything. Now he has gotten more brazen and will go out in the backyard. So he has to be out as soon as it's light. Back to our things in common. I don't think that being similar in our early morning habits came with living together. I think it is in both of our nature. You might think that we would be morning people only at home in our world, but it is that way even when we are away from home. Yes, it is a habit that is hard to break. We might plan to be at a late event sometimes, but that feeling of the end of the day comes anyway. Speaking of pets, Joni and I get really attached to pets. We bring them into the family and treat them as one of the family. That is why it is very hard to lose one of them, and it is very hard to break down and replace one. It took me a year or two to even think about getting another pet after Rocky. It is also hard to leave them at home and go away for a weekend or a longer vacation. We make sure that someone comes and checks on him daily. And one more thing we have in common is that each love and cherish our grandchildren. We are so fortunate to live close enough to our children that we get to see the grandkids and spend valuable time with them. It is a great part of life to get to know your grandchildren and them get to know their grandparents. I was at a Christmas party one year at my boss's house. He had several of the managers and their wives in attendance. We enjoyed the dinner, and afterwards we sat around in the family room and got to know everyone better. We took turns introducing ourselves and spouses and told a little bit about how we got to this point with the company. It was very interesting to hear most of them say that they had lived in several cities and states as they advanced their careers. Some had worked at our competitors in Virginia and other states and moved to Danville for a job with our company. Their family had moved away for their jobs many times. Then, one of my fellow workers, Dave Keenast, spoke about his career. He and I were the only ones that were from Danville. He said something that has really stuck with me. He said that he is so lucky to have stayed in his hometown and found a great job with Bone. That has made it possible for his kids to be close to their grandparents and for them to get to know each other. That has been very important to him. As I sat there listening to his comments, I couldn't help but feel that he had touched on something that meant a great deal to me too, but I hadn't really put it in those terms. Joni and I have been that lucky too.